Okay, you guys, this week's episode features Kayla and Carlee, and I'm so excited. We talked about so many good topics for brand owners, for newer lash artists, how to get in front of brands to start working with brands, and when you need to hire someone for your brand to help excel you with your goals. I'm super excited for you guys to listen to this one. Take a screenshot and share and tag us from wherever you listen, and we'll get right into the pod.
Back in town on a red baby, don't make me wait. Body like been a long while, and I just wanna taste. Let's be alone. I put it down when I come around.
Hi, you guys, and welcome back to Talking MacK. I am so excited to have Kayla and Carlee on today. I want to jump right into it. How did you guys get connected?
Kayla, you wanna start? You want me to start?
I want to hear your side of the story. I think I'm usually the one that talks about our getting together, but I want to hear your side.
You want to hear our love story? Okay, so a few years back when Kayla was starting her line of products, I remember she messaged me and was asking me some questions about just manufacturing and things like that. And I remember looking at all her stuff, and I remember like the moment thinking like, dang, this girl's got it going on. Like her brand, she didn't even I don't think she even had launched VOD yet. Just like your brand of your salon and doing lashes, your business, I guess I should say. Mm-hmm. Everything was just so pretty and on point, and like everything that I wasn't. And I remember feeling that way, like, damn, this girl's dope. So anyways, you know, she launched her line, and I always was admiring it, and we would just kind of talk here and there. And then one day Kayla messaged me, and she was like, hey, I just wanted to reach out, like I'm trying to get into graphic design, and I know you mentioned that you wanted to, you know, redo your website or something like that. And I was like, okay. Like I was a little nervous at first because, you know, Lash Reality's like my everything, my baby, and it was really scary to let anybody in, but I already like had this feeling about Kayla, so I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. So she created my website, and I was blown away. Like I was in shock. It was like nothing, like everything was perfect. I didn't have to tell her anything to change. Like it was really cool, because I feel like when you're a business owner, you feel that nobody can do anything as good as you can. So that, like, having somebody come in and do something like better than I could do, like I felt like Kayla knew my brand better than I did, and she just executed everything. And I basically was like stalking her and obsessed with her ever since, and hired her on the spot for full time.
I love that. I remember seeing when you're like, I went to go order product when your new website was done, and I was like, whoa, what? I was like, this is awesome. I was like, this is so cool. And I feel like, Kayla, you are such a visionary. And like Carlee said, like, Carlee knows her brand, yes, but you come in and you're like, no, let me really show you your brand. And like to be able to have that type of creativity and just the knowledge, the how to pull it all together is incredible. And not a lot of people have that. And I think it's so cool too, Carlee, for you to be like, okay, because it's hard as business owners to delegate little things, and not, you know, not only little things, but big things like that. You're like, I'm trusting you. And for someone like Kayla to come in and be like, I know this is your baby. I know what it's like to have businesses of my own, and let me come in and like transform your vision and help further your goals for your business. Totally. And what did that look like for you, Kayla? Were you like, hell yeah, right away, like let's work together? Or were you kind of like, oh well, I'm still doing all my own things and like got a lot on my plate? Or what did that look like for you?
So it's really complicated because, you know, I used to be a photographer and graphic designer a long time ago, and I had like got my esthetician license to find stability and to just take clients and do. I was ready to retire my old career or careers and move on to something that I felt would be more stable for myself. And, you know, I'm a person that loves collecting skills. And I recently found out that I have ADHD, like pretty severely, and I had no idea. But that's why my whole life I've always been dabbling in different things. And, you know, when I get bored, I just move on to the next thing. And so I've collected all of these skills throughout my life. And when I started my product line and I was a full-time lash artist, I got a salon and I did all this stuff. I did everything that you're supposed to. And I got to that place where I had to ask myself, is this truly making me happy? Like, I took a step back because I was working 24 hours a day. I was, you know, taking my clients. I probably took 5 to 7 clients a day. I was fulfilling my own orders. I was doing all of my own product development, website, graphic design, social media, blah, blah, blah. And it turned into like this resentment. So the moment that I decided, like, look, I just have to go back to what truly, truly makes me happy. And for that, like, for me, it was the design aspect of everything. So when I discovered that within myself, I decided, okay, I'm going to have to cut off taking clients somehow in order to nurture this skill again. But the only difference was that I wanted to niche it in the lash extension market, because I know that there is a need and a desire for graphic designers that also happen to be lash artists or, you know, educators in that field, that somebody that has an idea of the look and the feel and the presentation and what lash artists and beauty industry people are looking for, that detail, you know. So that's whenever I messaged Carlee, I was like, look, I'm changing my career. I'm moving into this space. So what do you say? Can I redo your website? And I had, up until that point, I had already done websites like all my life since I was like 12 years old. I've been doing all kinds of websites. But for Carlee, the thing that, you know, was a benefit to her was I was already familiar with Shopify. I was already familiar with all these things that like require you to run your business from the standpoint of, you know, automation, social media, you know, setting up launches and stuff like that. So it helped me having all that experience, even though I was resenting it so much. I was like, this is going to be helpful for me in the future, no matter what I do, because everything is like just adding to your basket of, you know, your skills. For me, whenever I started taking on, you know, these design projects and working with Carlee, I still had clients here and there. I still was like trying to manage balancing, like, oh, well, you know, I've got my salon and I'm paying for this and I'm paying for this. And I was making no money. I've openly talked about this before, but like, you know, opening a salon and going into debt to open it, and then all of the work that it requires. And then you think like, oh, well, now I get to make money. Like, that didn't work for me. It's not that simple. Like, it's really sad because I poured so much money into that salon and I never made a dime off of it. In fact, I'm probably like $15,000 in debt, but that's okay because I learned so much from that. And that's what brings us to here now, working with Carlee, is I tell Carlee this all the time, and this is kind of what she means about like our love story is, you know, finding that person that you totally mesh with on a emotionally, mentally, spiritual level, to where like she understands me and like I understand her, and I get her brand. So everything just works, and I am literally working my dream job that I never thought existed. I never thought something like this was real or acquirable. And now, like, what I get to do with Carlee is, so I'm her creative director, but we think of ourselves more as business partners. So those of you listening who are like, you know, protect your business, Carlee. No, people are constantly giving her shit and like telling Carlee what to do with me. And I'm like, look, you don't understand. You don't get our relationship. Like, Carlee is like a blood sister to me, and I get to work with her every day, which is the best thing that's ever happened to me. So
I
Yeah.
love you. You're such a little sweetie. It's kind of crazy to think like you were so had such a hard time with VOD and everything that you were doing. Because looking from the outside, like you just wouldn't know. Like I would see VOD and I would just be like, damn, like she is going up. She's going to the top. Like, what am I even doing here? It's cool that like even if you hadn't have done all that, we probably would have never been brought together. So
That is true. Yeah, that is true. And that's why I say, like, I don't at all regret having had all of those experiences and, stopping my product line, eventually closing my salon. And now I can comfortably say, like, I don't have any clients other than just like a sister-in-law or something that, bugs me. And she's like, hey, can you do my lashes? But now that I've slowly been able to get away from all that and purely focus on what value that we can bring towards social media and doing all of the experimentation with like different types of content and reaching your customers, like when you were talking before about, having somebody come in and take over for you. I totally understand why Carlee was nervous, because everything that she had known about me before was just like, it was just some messages online back and forth. And that was the tippy top of our relationship. What I did want to say is that there is an entire art form to presentation and communication, especially when it comes to design and the way that someone consumes your art or whatever you're posting, whether that's video or that's imagery or that's selling a product. Especially, there is such a art form around that not everybody has like this natural tenacity for. And it's incredibly important for us to be able to delegate that. And I want to speak directly to brand owners who have not taken that step yet of hiring a social media manager or hiring a graphic designer, and you're doing everything by yourself. The problem with that is that it's not like it's holding you back. It's not going to separate you from everybody else. It's going to make you look like everybody else if you are continuing to do all of it yourself. Does that make sense? Like, I see a lot of brand owners that have so much potential. And that's why I wanted to work with Carlee too, was because I could see the bones and I could see the structure of everything there. She had everything that we needed. It was just the presentation needed to be elevated to a higher form of design. And when you take the time to hire somebody, and I know that it's a financial burden for a lot of people, but when you take that step, it truly makes such a huge difference in the way that people like perceive you, or just it makes people flock to you when you're able to connect with them in that way. Sorry if I'm harping on this, but like we can also like anyways, so I just feel like if you're listening to this and you're a brand owner and you sell any types of products, you need to have another person come in to give you like another perspective and to make suggestions. Like, I think everybody is so controlling and particular about their brand or about their products and the way that, they set stuff up. What I just want to say is like, if you already think that it's the best it can be and you're not willing to let somebody come else in, and you're not willing to let somebody else come in to help you, then you will get burnt out, you will get stuck, and you will plateau with your followers, your sales, and your driving force that's going to bring you to the top. You can't achieve that without help and without like a professional eye coming in and helping you. So
Okay, I'm curious. No, I love everything that you're saying, and I think it's so true. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, damn, I need second eyes on my business. I need a redo. I need a revamp. But I'm curious, Carlee, what was your day-to-day like before you hired Kayla, and what does it look like now that you've been able to pass off the creative side of things, or maybe not all of the creative side of things, but I mean, even just hearing you guys talk, it sounds so cool that I can literally picture you guys sitting next to each other, or even just on calls talking about ideas and being like, ooh, yeah, we got to do this, or oh, what about this? And like being able to have someone else that cares about your brand as much as you do, and being able to be like, oh, this is what we need to do. Like, these are some exciting ideas we should play with, or like, let's do this photo shoot, or let's do that. Like, what does that day-to-day look like, and what does it look like now for you?
So before I had Kayla, I mean, I really was working 24/7, stressing 24/7, feeling like shit 24/7 because I put everything I had into this business for those first 3 years, and I was almost to a point. I was actually reaching out to like a few people in the industry that, you know, were doing graphic design and stuff, because I was to that point where I was like, I was just done. Like, I needed help, or I was gonna be like, so now I just get to like do the stuff that I was neglecting for so long, like the back end boring business, finance, all that crap, ordering products and stuff like that. So now my life just feels a lot more like stress free, because I can rely on Kayla to come through on my bad days, or my days that I'm not motivated, or things like that. And then what were you saying? You were asking me a question at the end that I had a good thought. Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
When that happens.
Oh, no, I can't remember. But yeah, she has completely changed my life and my business, so it's a win-win.
That's awesome. And hearing something you said, like, I can rely on Kayla on the days that I'm falling short, or that I'm not like doing XYZ, whatever that may be. I think that's so huge. Do you guys have any advice for people who want to hire out for things like this, but might feel like, oh, I don't know if I can rely on them yet? Do you think it's something that's just like over time you rely on them more? Or do you think there's a certain way where you can be like, no, I know this person is going to be reliable? Or do you think it's by actions over time?
So I have so much to say on this. Because I've talked to a lot of other lash brand owners about this topic recently, and I think a lot of them are scared to initiate hiring someone because maybe in the past they've gotten screwed over and they've spent thousands of dollars with a company that wasn't able to fulfill their needs, or, you know, there's all kinds of situations, but people don't feel as if there's people like me that exist too. I think that this is like two-sided. You know, there needs to be more people coming forward like myself that are lash artists and make themselves available to do graphic design. There needs to be more of me, because I know that they're out there, but they haven't taken that step yet. But let me tell you, I think there's going to be a surge in people that do switch over and change their career in the next like 5 years. That's going to be a thing. And there will be more people like myself sprouting up. But the advice that I have is you have to give someone a chance, and you need to connect with someone on a level that is like having that reliance, trustworthiness, you know, all of the things that you would have for a normal job anyway. Like, you have to be looking out for those things and interview people, get to know people. You can't just hire the first corporation or company that comes over to you and solicits and is like, hey, if you spend $2,000 with me a month, I will do this many social media posts for you. I will do this. I'll manage this. Like, no, hold on. Pump the brakes here. Like, don't just do the first thing that's offered to you. You need to.
I literally did that. The first
You did?
The first people that ever reached out to me to do marketing, I hired them, because I learned a lot from that. Mm-hmm. But not to interrupt you, but I just think it's kind of funny that you said that, because I absolutely did that.
Yeah.
Keep going.
No, you're good. I just, I've heard that from a lot of people. And, you know, people like myself that I'm already social media obsessed. You know, I've been on the internet chronically since I was about 11. And so this is second nature to me. So
Chronically.
yeah, I have been. Like, that's what everybody knows me for, is like I'm always on my computer and it's just my life. So, you know, but yeah, find somebody that you align with, not just you get along with them, but, you know, their values. And it's like any other job, but the position itself is such an intimate thing because you are working so closely, hopefully, with a brand owner or a team. And finding somebody that has those lash artist skills. Like, let's just be very specific for a moment. Let's say that you want to hire somebody to make you 4 reels a month, and you want them to be educational and you want them to be like really well shot, and that person needs to be a lash artist to make this stuff. You could potentially outsource this to somebody that's already creating content in this fashion. Reach out to them and ask them, hey, can I send you some product? Will you make me some videos? That's it. Like, or you could pay them for their time, obviously. But the main thing is like trying to find somebody that you already admire, maybe ask them, and then see how that relationship, blooms over time. Because you're not going to find these people unless you literally put out like a story that's like, hiring this, like, please, but then you're going to have everybody knocking at your door. So I would just find people in your circle that you trust and know are reliable sources for content. And, maybe eventually you might give them your logins, but that's something that I think takes time to build a relationship. And, somebody has to already love or know your brand to execute something as beautifully as you want it to be. They have to already know your brand. And also, I feel, and this is so random, I'm sorry, but like, I feel like there's something in the brain of a lot of creatives that allows us to process things in a way that's like different than everybody else. And so when we see something and we want to put something together, like, it's just going to be completely different and something way better than you would expect. So, but yeah, that's my advice, is like, it takes time to build relationships with people, and, start small. That is my advice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have a question for those listening that aren't brand owners, and maybe they're a newer lash artist or they've been lashing for a few years and they want to do these collaborations with brands, or they want to be paid for content and reels. What stands out to both of you that makes you feel like, oh, this is someone that we'd want to reach out to? Is it them reaching out to you? Is it them consistently using your product and posting on stories and tagging you guys? Or what is something that you feel like makes somebody stand out above the rest?
I'll let Carlee start.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if someone is constantly using our products and knows our products, that's a big one. But also, like, when I was first starting, I would just go and look at people's pages, look at people's work, and be like, anybody that I was impressed by, I just would want to send them my products and get some feedback from them. And then some of them eventually loved our products, and now they're pros for us. But I think you have to really prove yourself, But I'm the type that, like, I'm so flattered when anybody messages me and is like, wants to be involved with my brand. So I kind of have a problem because I'm just like, yes. So I'm kind of working through that. But I don't know. It's so nice when people actually reach out and want to work with us and want to be a part of our brand. I like it. Sometimes you have to make that effort in order to achieve, that spot in a brand. Doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, I think that whenever you asked that question, I was like, oh, I have this list in my head. I'm like,
I have a checklist.
Yeah. It's basically, I think the easiest way to say it is that, like, if you are someone that really loves a brand and you love their products, or there's just like, something from that brand that you really admire and you're using constantly on your clients, if what you're trying to achieve is either becoming like a brand ambassador, or if you're a lash artist that like wants to be hired by a brand, then what I need you to do is make it very obvious to this brand that you love them. I think a lot of times people forget that there's people behind our page. Like, there's people behind Lash Reality, there's people behind EBL and Lash Makers and all of that. There's human beings, and usually it's a sole person or maybe two people that are looking at that Instagram. When we see your name pop up, every other day or once a week or once a month, we notice you. Like, we memorize your profile pictures. We memorize your usernames. We see what style of posts that you're making and the types of content we notice. And it's those people that make it abundantly clear that, like, I use your product, I love you guys, I'm going to support you guys. We see you. And those are probably going to be our top choices for any opportunities, like, for example, we just sent out PR boxes for the first time, like for a collection drop, and we picked 10 people that we felt were really good with social media and tended to, talk about products and shared stuff and all of that, and just things that they loved, but they're also analytical people. And B, they already used our products and showed us that they cared. So, that's just a couple things that you can do. But, something that I hope we can normalize as far as, connecting with brands and becoming an ambassador and all of that is, I just want people to remember that the only way that I'm going to know that you used a product of ours is if you put it in your caption and say what the product is. You can put it at the very, very bottom. You can hide it, whatever. If you tell me what product that you use, I am more likely to repost that shit. I am more likely to use it in our emails. I'm more likely to shout you out. Like, I'm going to be pushing your account if you just tell me what you used. And what I see really commonly is people will tag like 5 accounts on a post, or like 5 accounts on a reel or something. They don't mention any products. They don't mention really anything. Like, what am I looking at? Or did you use our lashes, or did you use somebody else? Did you use our tweezers? Like, what did you use? Because I can't tell. And so more often than not, I will never ever repost or share those images or anything, because I can't tell if you used our lashes. And you have to imagine, like, for us as brand owners, we're getting tagged in multiple things a day. We're getting tagged in multiple reels, all of this stuff. It becomes overwhelming. We can't physically message every single person and ask, what product did you use for this? What lashes did you use for this? Like, can I repost you? Because, it's just like, it's so much work to have to then go and ask the people. So I just recommend, like, if you're using our products, you need to tell us what products those are, because then we're more likely to repost you and share and just like share the love. But yeah, that's something else that you can do that will really help.
I think that's huge. Have you guys experienced any like negative experiences with anyone where you're like, hey, can we send you product, and they never post about you, or they never do anything, or they never tag? Or have you guys had a pretty good experience where it's people who are already using your stuff and they're just super stoked that you wanted to reach out and like send them something?
I've had a few influencer type people that are maybe influencers, not in the lash industry, but are doing lashes now, where they've reached out and asked, I'll post, I'll do this. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then they never post. So I've had that before.
That's so hard. I know I ask because I've experienced, as my page has grown, as my community has grown, I've gotten to a place where people ask to send me product all the time. And I'm like, dude, I do not have time to take models every single day to like showcase product. And I would love to do that all day long. But I'm not joking, bins and bins of product in my space that is untouched because of I just don't have the time to play with it. And of course, like the brands that I have closer connections with, I'm more likely to quickly post something for them because it's a relationship that I've built and cultivated over time and nurtured. And it's something where it's like, we're friends now, we're homies. But like, that's been really tough for me. Like maybe smaller brands who are trying to get exposure and in front of other people. It's just hard. And I'm a big fan too of like, I'm not going to post something unless I absolutely love it, because I don't want to lead other people astray either. And I think, you know, just to follow up to what both of you have said is, if you love a product in a company, like let them know, reach out to them, put it in your captions, write on stories. And I think another thing too that I've heard Lindy of EBL say, she's like, you know, one thing for me is, if they're using my product and they're tagging all these other people, I'm going to be promoting all of them as well if it's something that we're sharing and it's not actually my product. And to be like clear in your captions and clear in your stories when you're talking about products, especially if that's a relationship you want to build with that specific brand in the future. And you can have relationships with many brands. You don't have to be tied to one unless you do want to go down the ambassador road and, you know, really be loyal to a brand. And I think that's awesome too. I was that way for a while. I was an ambassador for a brand, and I got to a point where I was like, I want to play with all the things. And then, and it's funny too, because I don't know about you guys. Actually, I think Kayla agrees with me on this one for sure. I am so picky about the lashes I use. I am so picky about the tweezers that I use. And it's just something where if I don't like it, I don't love it, I'm not going to post about it. And I think that should also be something people are thinking about too. Like, just because you want any of those things, it's harder to help promote if you don't wholeheartedly love the product.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just think it's those connections. It always comes back down to the connections that you're building and standing out, you know, sharing the love, being very transparent about what you're using. And that way you'll get noticed and reshared more often. But yeah, I don't think it's normal yet for people to put the details in their captions, but we're gonna make, me and Carlee are gonna make an entire episode on this, and like I'm gonna write everything out. I'm like, all right, if you're doing this, like we're not reposting you. Like that's just. But to talk about kind of what you mentioned before about bad experiences with like either influencers or ambassadors or whatever, but I think a lot of brand owners can agree that, you know, trying to control or give, what is the word I'm looking for? When you're trying to basically tell your ambassadors, like, I need this from you, please do this. Or if you've got like a team of people that are trying to help you out with stuff, like it's like herding cats, because not everybody has time to necessarily be constrained to doing certain work. And also they're not necessarily being paid for it. So it's like, it's harder for people to be motivated to like help a company when the company isn't necessarily giving them anything. But, you know, we give our brand ambassadors a whopping 20% off. So, you know, we try to give our ambassadors incentive to be like, look, you're going to talk about our brand like whenever you want, but like here's what you get from that. And you know, you're helping us help you, because we want everybody to gain something out of it. Like we never want to take advantage of people. We want it to be a symbiotic relationship where it's always mutually beneficial. And I think, you know, if you're entering any kind of partnership with a brand from a lash artist standpoint, if you are entering that relationship and you don't feel taken care of or you don't feel appreciated, like it's time to step back and be like, what are my priorities? And again, who do I align with morally, you know, emotionally, like values, like all of those things. You have to be deciding wisely.
And I think too, like now I'm switching gears a little bit back to thinking about you two working together. I think another thing for brands who want to hire out like a creative director and things like that, you also have to let them do their thing almost. Of course, come together and have those brainstorm sessions, but you can't be putting roadblocks up for them to be like, hey, is this correct? Is this right? Because I know when I first hired my assistant, and I've started to call her my creative director, in the beginning, when she would post for our studio page, she would say, is this okay? Is this caption all right? And I was stunting her in her creativity because it still all had to go through me. And there was probably a month of doing that. And I just said, hey, I trust you. Run with it. And she started putting out more content, more graphics, more reels. She was coming in to take videos of the girls working. And she's like, oh, I had this idea for this. Because I was like, I actually listened to a podcast talking about how like you're stunting your employees if you're constantly having to, get things run by you. And so I got to that point where I was like, do your thing, girl. I was like, if anything needs to be adjusted or changed, like we'll do that, or we'll address that moving forward. Like, hey, instead of writing the caption this way, I like it this certain way because of XYZ, so she could understand like, oh, okay, that makes sense to me. We're going to do this moving forward, or this is how we're going to say that or do that. So it was still, a little bit of that constructive criticism, but still like, this is your role. You got it. Go after it. And same thing, that was hard for me to delegate because I was like, my baby. And then the moment I gave it to her, I was like, our page has grown so much. We've gotten so many more clients from our social media. The amount of clients that come in that are like, oh, I found you on, social media. I love your page. And for some reason, sometimes I think it's my page and they're like, oh no, your studio page. And I'm like, perfect. Like, this is really cool because she's been able to bring us business because I stopped roadblocking her.
That's interesting. I like that. I never thought of it that way. But I was trying to have somebody help me before Kayla, and she would ask me every single thing too, and I was trying to give her that freedom to just do it, but she just wouldn't. And so that, like, it was kind of like, okay, this isn't helping me at all because I have to check every little edit and every little word, and it's like,
it would almost be faster for you to just do it by yourself at that point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So every time you talk, Mackenzie, I just have all like this flood of stuff I want to say, and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to say it. But okay. So I go down the deep end, I go down the rabbit hole when we get into these kind of conversations because for me it turns philosophical. And what I mean by that is, okay, I'll have to respond to the first thing that you mentioned is that, sometimes it's hard to fully let go of the trust in somebody else to take over because you want to make sure that like, okay, are they doing everything correctly? Is there no spelling errors? Is there like, is there something that they fucked up or like is going to be inherently like weird on my page, which, I'm sure Carlee may have had that at the beginning, but I think very quickly going back and forth, the way that we were doing things was like, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? We did that too. But then eventually Carlee just said to me, like, you're doing an amazing job. I want you to go on there and do whatever the hell it is that you want. And I was like, holy shit. Like, that means...
You're like, I got the keys to the city.
Yes, I get to drive mommy's car and daddy's like McLaren or something. But, so what for me, this is the part where I hope that people can take something away from it is that, and this goes for anything in life, okay? It's not just your business, but it's like you as a person. There is something inside of you that has to unlock, and it is up to you to figure out how to unlock that. And sometimes it's, listening to stuff like this or, getting out of your shell and doing something different, right? What I think doing this job has helped me understand is that the moment that you take away all of the inhibitions and all of the boxes that you set yourself in, and you can just be truly creative and authentic and make whatever it is that you want. Like, I'm such an artist that's like so hardcore. I've spent most of my life being a starving artist. You know, I was from a young age, like I started drawing when I was 3 years old. I was singing at 2 years old. Like I've spent my whole life as a musician and a creative. And I always thought like, oh, I'm never going to be able to monetize my art. I'm never going to be able to like find the thing that like makes sense for me. But, you know, after all the trials and tribulations and where I am now in my life, this is one of the greatest like mind expanding things that's ever happened to me, is that I have been able to let go of like those chains that tell you like, oh, well, you can't make that because it looks stupid. Or like second guessing yourself because you're like, oh, I don't think that people are going to like this. For me, it doesn't even matter. Like, I just want to make stuff that makes me happy. And it just so happens that Lash Reality and the brand, working with Carlee, that's the vehicle that I use to make what I want. Because I don't just make graphics and do her website. You know, we're also developing product. Oh, you're good. You almost died. We're also developing product. We are, you know, collaborating with people, and like just we're doing so many fun things. And you know, there was one time we were like, hey, let's recreate that Unholy song by Sam Smith. So I came in here and I recorded a cover of the Sam Smith song using like Lash extension language. And I love singing and I love doing recording stuff. Like, I get to wake up every day and do whatever it is that makes me happy. I have no constraints other than, you know, sometimes we have deadlines for some projects and we have to do certain things. But other than that, like, that's why finding that person that you can work with that just lets you do your thing, lets you do what you're good at. I have my flow. I have this, I know a lot of people with ADHD can like understand, but it's like you have waves of inspiration and you have waves of creativity. It comes and goes. There are going to be some days where you are absolutely just stagnant and you can't get out of bed. And then there are some days where you stay up all night and you work for 20 hours straight, and then you get 4 hours of sleep and you do it all over again. And that's me. And so, and I love it because it works for me. But also finding Carlee was like, I found somebody, again, that like understood me and my balance and my flow. And, you know, she helped me unlock that thing in my mind that was like, everything that held me back in my life and the things that I created, I don't feel that anymore. I feel like I'm able to just make things. It just so happens the bonus is that it helps a brand and it helps her to build her business. And that's not to say that, you know, I don't have structure and all of those things, because I am a very structured person, but it's just bringing those two things together and the collision of your creativity with, you know, being able to monetize it in a way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Totally. I have to say, your voice is unreal. Like, you have such an amazing voice.
Thanks.
And I remember, I can't remember what we were doing, but we were like, I told Carlee, I said, we gotta go do karaoke wherever we were. And she's like, oh, dude, you gotta hear Kayla sing. And I was like, what? And then I hadn't heard you sing until the video that you did with the Unholy song. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, are you kidding? Like, for a second, I didn't think it was you. I thought it was like, I thought you guys paid someone to redo that song. I was like, Kayla's voice is crazy. I was like, that's one thing I've always wished, is I wish I had a good voice, because you guys do not want to hear me sing.
Oh my gosh. And that was such a silly video.
And when we were at LashCon at the karaoke party, Kayla, I convinced her to sign up and put her name in, but then it ended and she never got her time. But I was so excited because everyone was going to hear you.
So the way that they did it, and you don't have to include this or anything, but the way that they did it at LashCon was that like there was a list on that little phone thing, and like you could sign in, and then it was in order of like who signed in into the app. And so they weren't just letting anybody go up stage because they had a limited time slot. And so I figured out that they were literally skipping people, and I was like, okay, so you're basically setting this up for like certain groups to go on, certain people to go, good songs or whatever. They were being very selective about like what went on there. So, and I was pretty.
MacK wasn't MacK the MC for that?
Yeah, okay, but okay, listen though. I was the MC and Kristen was the MC. But then they also had Homeboy, who was like the DJ who was playing stuff, and I swear to God, at one point he like turned our mics off and he was just talking to everybody, and he was like hyping everyone up, and I was like, "What? This is Kristen in my thing. Like, what are you doing, bro?" And he just like wanted the spotlight. He was like super into it, and because Kristen and I, most people kept saying like, "Will you come up and sing with me? I'm nervous." So Kristen and I ended up having to be on stage, so we didn't really see who was signing in and stuff because if at that point, like, I'm like a rule follower. I like the whole, like, you're in line thing, but I would have bumped your ass to the top because I really wanted to hear you, like, belt it.
It's okay. It's okay. Maybe next year, but it's okay. No, I just was like, man, this isn't fair. They keep skipping me. Why are they skipping me? Because I had signed in at the very beginning and they kept skipping me. And I was like, I'm going to, like, die. So then I just sat there the whole time, like, in anticipation, like, okay, when am I going to go up? When am I going to go up? But it's fine. Like, it's no big deal. No, but thank you. I appreciate that. And, you know, that song is probably not a good depiction of my voice, like, in its fullest form. So I wouldn't go on there and judge that. But, but yeah, no, it's just the most random things that I get to do. And, you know, as a creative director, I think most of the time people are doing a lot of design stuff, but you know, the cool thing about me and Carlee is we're able to get together and play with products and talk about the quality of things and, you know, making actual decisions in the business that are going to be incorporated like in a permanent line that people will touch and experience. And that's also an art form in itself. So I'm grateful that Carlee does trust me with that in addition to all of the design stuff. It just so happens that I have that experience. So which it really fun thing is that we just today, right before we got on with you, we launched a new collection of tweezers, which I think is our first ever product that like we've from start to finish like designed the both of us and put that together. So it's a really fun thing. But Carlee gave me the reins, I guess, and let me do everything for the launch, you know, making the graphics, like setting it all up, setting up the product pages and like all of those things. So it's all fun.
Yeah, because if it's up to me, when I would launch stuff, I would like work on this stuff for so long, and then I'd get it in and I'd post it that day and put it up on the website and be like, here you go, okay, next. Like, I didn't know how to do like a fun launch, so this is
and like create that anticipation and like and it's so funny too, and I'm so grateful that you guys wanted to send me a box. I literally am looking outside as we're recording, like, where's my mailman, because he's coming today. I'm waiting.
You better not put it in that bin full of all your products.
Oh no, they're getting pulled out to be used immediately. I'm so excited. But yeah, by the time this episode comes out, it'll have been almost a week since you guys have launched. Don't forget to use code MACK, M-A-C-K, for 10% off your Lash Reality order. And I'm just obsessed with you guys, and I'm super excited that we were able to like open up so many different conversations. If there's any like last words you have for the audience, or plug yourselves, tell us where we can find you and hang out with you. I cannot wait for the audience to hear this. Don't forget to screenshot wherever you listen and tag us all in your stories. Kayla. But yeah, tell us where we can find you. Okay, Carlee is at Lash Reality. Kayla is at VOD.
Oh no, I was just doing that for a screenshot, like screenshot this.
I was just waiting for you to talk, so I was like, what?
No, I was just like, screenshot this.
Yeah, so we're at Lash Reality. We're both on there, actually. And then Kayla also has VOD Lashes.
Very cool. Check out the website because Kayla redid it, and it's the coolest website I've ever seen, honestly.
Aww.
It is really dope.
Well, I just love it too because I love like your brand colors and everything. Like I love how fun and like groovy and rad, and I want to use all those words when I like see your products. I'm like, they're fucking awesome, and you guys are just awesome, and I love hanging out with you guys, and I can't wait to hang out with you guys more at whatever conferences come up next.
Oh, we love you too, Mac Daddy. Talking smack, baby.
Hell yeah. I can't wait to put all the bloopers together for a reel.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's gonna be nice.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you for listening and watching and being here. I know that this is a very special and honorable thing to do. So thank you for letting us be here, Mackenzie.
Of course. I'm so excited.
Thanks, Mac.
Of course.